Hello people, it's Secret Anime Fan here, and today's video is on Garp, also known as Garp the Fist and often the hero of the Marines. This video will be for veterans and newbies alike. This video will cover their history, abilities and personality, and usually a bit of discussion about the character in general. Expect spoilers for One Piece, and let's get started. So the man known as Monkey D. Garp was born in Goa Kingdom in the East Blue, a sea located before the turbulent and dangerous sea known as the Grand Line. Think of it as like a starting area in an MMORPG. He joined the Marines at age 22, and thus the legend known as Monkey D. Garp started his journey to become a hero. At the age of 22, he gave birth to a son who would go on to be a legend in his own right, the man known as Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the revolutionaries. Side note, this is not a really weird name to give to your son. I don't know what Oda was thinking, but I suppose it's pretty cool. We don't know much of his journey rising up the ranks, but we do know he achieved some mighty feats in his youth. Now brace yourselves, this is going to be epic, and if you've yet to watch One Piece or read the manga, when you finally do, you'll come to appreciate these feats. So yeah, let's start with perhaps his most hype accomplishment, fighting the legendary Rocks pirates, a fearsome and unruly pirate crew with, let's just say, a tiny bit of fighting power. I'm joking, of course. This crew was out of this world pretty much, with members including Big Mom, Kaido and Whitebeard, who would later on go on to become 3 of the 4 Yonko, who are considered the strongest pirates in the sea and are closest to attaining the One Piece. They of course formed their own crews after the Rocks pirates split up, and what would cause the demise of the Rocks pirates, considered by many at the time as the strongest pirate crew, well, a Vice Admiral by the name of Monkey D. Garp. Now, he wasn't actually alone when he fought the Rocks pirates. He did have to seek help in the aid of another legendary character, the future Pirate King himself, Goldie Roger. It's a lot of D's going on here, and I believe Goldie Roger's crew were also involved in the fight. This kind of makes the feat a little bit less epic for Garp. Not epic in the whole entirety of what unfolded, but from a viewer's perspective, it's a very exciting prospect to read and watch and to witness and to theorize on, which I'll probably do another video on. Don't get me wrong, it's still an epic feat, and it kind of makes sense for Garp to need some help to topple a behemoth of a powerhouse like the Rocks pirates. Oh, and of course, the captain himself, known as Rock D. Zebek, I think it is, was also an immensely powerful character in his own right, but as of yet, not much is known about him. All of this epic event occurred because Garp had to, or for some reason chose to, protect the celestial dragons and their slaves, who I won't go fully into detail about, but they are basically the ruling families that control the world in One Piece. And they're bad. They're really bad. For the most part, there's 1 or 2 that are semi-alright. This actually goes fully against Garp's personality and moral compass, as Sengoku said. As a man, he is more honourable than any snobby elite out there. It's not fully fleshed out why Garp chose to do this, but boy, I can't wait to find out. Garp actually dislikes talking about this epic feat for the 2 reasons above. That being protecting the celestial dragons, who he does not like at all, and having to work with a pirate to accomplish this feat. This shows a big part of Garp's personality. He's not a man to chase after attention and fame, much like his grandson Luffy. So that's how he got the nickname Hero of the Marines. But what about Garp the Fist? Well, let's get into that. So 30 years ago, Garp encountered Dun Chao, I think it is, also known as Dun Chao the Drill for his head shape. You should see that on screen now, which was touted for its hardness that nothing could rival. And well, I think you can guess where this is going. The two decided to clash to see who was stronger, and you can guess what happened. Garp's was the stronger. His fist was stronger than Dun Chao's head, and he bent his head, and it was a major upset for Chin Chao. You have to go look up his character and why it was such a disappointment. But anyway, when Garp was the victor, the nickname was born, and it's one of his nicknames that have stuck. The next feat involves yet again another legendary character, whom it must be noted was also part of the Rocks Pirates. This may or may not be canon depending on how you see it, as it was basically a prologue manga chapter to the movie Strongworld, I believe. Nevertheless, it's still epic, and Shiki himself is of course canon, just not the events in the movie are canon. So Shiki the Golden Lion, or Gold Lion, decided to invade Marineford. I will leave the reason why left out, but he was met with opposition by Garp and Sengoku, who would go on to be Fleet Admiral. Talking about Sengoku there. The three had a fierce battle that left half of Marineford in ruin. Shiki was defeated and captured. Other than that, Garp was known for his many encounters with Goldie Roger over the years, so much so that the two had formed a mutual respect for each other, which would lead to the next bit of history involving Garp. When Goldie Roger was sentenced to death, it was Garp he turned to look after his unborn son, who would go on to have the name Portgus the Ace. And if that's not a testament to Garp's character, I don't know what is. And thus we move on to our next segment in the flashback of main protagonist Monkey D. Luffy's childhood. And yes, as I stated before, they are related. The monkey family sure is an odd and powerful one. Anyway, we see Garp leave a young Luffy in the company of mountain bandits whom he trusted and he knew, whom would go on to raise Luffy for a portion of his life. But not just him, at some point he also entrusted them to raise Ace. And then there's Sabo, but you have to watch the anime to know all about him. I can't spoil all the goods here. He was expecting them to become Marines, but well, that was not to be. I must also state that Garp didn't just leave them there and abandon them. He did visit them quite frequently, or at least he did visit them. We know that much. And he in fact trained them. Now, before I move on to Garp within the actual start of the series, there's one more thing to note, that Garp also chased Shikiyaku all across the Grand Line in her youth. For more on that, I should have a video on her soon on my channel. Heck, it might even be out on my channel now, so go check that out. So we first see Garp in the actual anime in episode 68, where we see him escorting Axe Hand Morgan, an early antagonist in One Piece, to what I would assume is Impel Down, the notorious prison. This is where we see a glimpse into his personality. I purposely chose not to comment too much on his personality so far, so you can make up your own opinion on what it may be. When first introduced, Garp comes across as a bit of a goofball, an unserious, silly, worry-free kind of character that doesn't take things too serious and kind of does what he wants. So when Axe Hand Morgan breaks free of his chains and slashes Garp across the chest, Garp is not fazed, but not because of his personality, just because he had fell asleep before Morgan had struck him. Falling asleep seems to be a trait among the monkey family, and in a way it kind of displays their personality and character of being carefree and things like that. So once the whole ordeal of Captain Morgan is over, Garp decides to take in the two lost causes of Kobe and Helmeppo, who during the whole fiasco caused trouble for the Marines. They were doomed to be kicked out of the Marines, but Garp decides to take them under his wing, displaying that he may be a bit of an oddball, and he certainly is. We next see Garp during the Water 7 arc, where we see an advancement of his character, where the veil of his identity is lifted. We finally learn he is Luffy's grandfather, and well, we basically learn they are two peas in a pod. He no longer wears the mask obscuring his identity. Garp arrives at Water 7 with just one objective, and that's to deliver a fist of love to Luffy. He strolls through Water 7, even though the Water 7 residents try to convince him that the Straw Hat Pirates are not in Water 7. He finally finds Luffy and enters in dramatic fashion, smashing the wall where they are located. He leaps and delivers the fist of love, i.e. a punch to the head. The whole scenario shows his do what I like personality, and when later on, when the Marines, his subordinate Marines, asked why he made such a dramatic entrance, he stated, well, I had to make an impression, showing he likes to have a bit of fun as well when he's doing things. He then orders them to fix the wall, so they obey because he's their superior, but they rebuttal, you have to help us to fix the wall as well. This in and of itself gives us a glimpse into his personality. Plus we see he has a more serious side to him when dealing with family, hence the fist of love. only for his more relaxed side to be reinforced when he nonchalantly says, forget what he just said about the revelation of Luffy's father, whom he said in front of a bunch of Marines and the Straw Hat Pirates himself. He's seen a couple more times here and there over the next few arcs, like when he's seen laughing at Luffy's escapades and feats, much to the annoyance of Fleet Admiral Sengoku, who are like the yin and yang. Sengoku's a lot more serious, whereas Garp is the goofball and oddball of the Marines. But his next solid appearance is when he is seen talking to Ace in Impel Down, and this is where we see that even the most carefree character can have regrets and show concern and have worries. Ace is set to be executed and there's nothing Garp can do. They have quite the heartfelt conversation where they get things off their chest. Garp talks about Luffy's actions with Ace and how he told Luffy about his father and how he wanted the two to be Marines, all things I've said previously. It's a very heartfelt conversation, as I said. Ace, on the other hand, is not so sentimental. He's more just angry about both Luffy's father and his own father and the fate that they have being born to fathers who are criminals. It's a very good moment. And now I'm going to talk about Marineford, but I think I'll leave that for part 2. So go check that out, and thank you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Please like and subscribe, and see ya.